Welcome back. Representatives with Guilford County Schools are here to answer your questions. If you have something you'd like to ask, text it to 336-379-5775. You can find that number right there on the bottom of your screen. Thank you again for being here. We have a lot of questions coming in, and we'll start with this one, which I find very interesting. Now that we have remote learning up and running, what about snow days? Are those going to exist anymore, or can we learn from home when it snows outside?
That's a really good question. And yes is the answer. This now that we have a procedure in place and students know how to log on to remote learning, it does open up some options. There are some remote learning days that are posted in our 2021 academic calendar. There are other districts across the country that have been doing remote learning when they have lots of inclement weather for several years. And so this has given us some tools to be able to do that should the need arise.
And the fact we'll have devices for every student by the fall will also add to our ability to do that.
Right, let's talk more about those devices, because we did get a question about that. Someone says, I'm hearing there still are not enough computers to accommodate virtual learning. Many students are still on a waiting list. So do we have any updates about devices?
So as we contact the vendors, we still are hearing that they are planned to be delivered as scheduled, so that we're looking at late October, early November to get all of the devices in. We have asked vendors to start, incrementally delivering those as they can. We have opened the learning centers to help address that need for students who still need a device. So we have the learning centers available throughout the district every day during the week, and then on the weekends, we've got the internet hubs that'll be open, and I guess this Saturday will be the Saturday. They'll be open this Saturday for students who may need to come in to school as well to have access to a device or to the internet.
Right. And I know we briefly talked about the possible plan to introduce students back into the classroom, and we're still waiting on approval from the Board of Education for that and everything. But someone's asking already, and we've gotten a few questions like this. If you do go back to school and a parent is not comfortable sending their child back, what options do they have? Is it just the virtual academy, or will there be a remote learning option if parents are uncomfortable?
So that's a good question. And the reason that we've extended the registration deadline for the virtual academy is so that parents will know on September 24th what the reentry plan looks like. That's when our Board of Education will vote on the reentry plan. There is simply not the staffing to run a virtual school at every elementary school, middle school, and high school. We don't have enough teachers to be able to do that. So the option is to return following the reentry plan, pending the Board of Education vote, and of course, making sure that our health trends are headed in the right direction, or to enroll in the virtual academy by the end of the day on September 25th.
And someone asked, what about teachers? What are the options for them if they don't feel safe returning to school?
We are working with teachers on a case-by-case basis. Certainly if they have medical needs or fall in an at-risk category, where our Human Resources Department is working on a case-by-case basis to ensure that teachers feel safe returning. We are putting all the health and safety protocols into place that our state and our governor's orders have put forth. And again, we're working with individuals on a case-by-case basis who may not feel safe returning when schools in fact reopen.
And people are wanting to know a little bit more about what happens if you get where I'm going with that. What happens if this happens? And someone writes in, will a teacher need to quarantine if a student has been exposed or test positive? And then who would teach that teacher's class?
So again, we'll rely on our public health department to help us make those decisions and identify what actions need to be taken by staff and other students who may be in contact with somebody who eventually tests positive. And so we'll rely on them, and we will have protocols and procedures in place on who will lead the class, and if the teacher has to be out of the classroom, or if students have to be out of the classroom.
Someone says, what about lunchtime? What about special classes like music, art, and PE? How is that being handled with social distancing?
So our intent is to try to keep students in one place as much as possible, in one classroom, to keep students in cohorts so that they are not combined or coming across other students. And so we will be serving meals in classrooms. We will be offering the specials in classrooms, either virtually, or a teacher may come into the classroom if they're available. But our intent is to keep students in one place or with the same group of students as much as possible.
Right, trying to minimize that movement throughout the school building and that exposure. As someone says, with elementary kids returning 5 days a week, when is the deep cleaning of classrooms happening?
So those will be happening. We'll clean every night. We'll do the wipe down, the disinfectant wipe down every evening once school is out. As soon as kids leave, we'll start, and teachers leave the building, we'll start doing that. And then we'll have the deep cleaning on Friday evenings, so that it will be at least 24 hours before students come back into the buildings.
All right, well, if you have questions, you can continue to text them to us and we will work to get you answers. The number is 336-379-5775. More answers after the break.